Hey, Scottie Pippen, I guess. We say we want how you want, whatever we want. I got a special guest on there. Go ahead, introduce yourself, man.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy Trout here. I work with USA Today and I work a little bit with On SI for Sports Illustrated. And I cover a lot of MLB over there and I cover the Saints for USA Today. It's been an honor to work for them and I'm happy to be on the podcast. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Jeremy on for like a month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so over here, I like to give my guests their segment to begin. You go off about anybody sports related. Let's keep it sports related. Anybody, any team you don't like, any coach. We're not censored over here, so you basically say what you want. Just don't do a lot of cussing. So go ahead, man. Who you don't like and what team you ain't feeling?
It's an interesting one right now. I'm a Boston sports fan, so I'm always been with the New York rivalry. And they've had a tough time, let me tell you. Even though I cover them, it's with Garrett Cole. I mean, that's a tough loss for them all year. They're going to be missing probably. You would assume their ace pitcher, Alex Fried, was going to take the ball, but that's a tough loss for them. Let me tell you. It's going to be that's one of those teams where they added a lot of veterans over the offseason, which is it could work out. I mean, they got Goldschmidt, they got Fried, they got a couple other guys in there, got Bellinger. They made some big moves. It's going to be a matter of if they can pitch now without Garrett Cole at the top of their lineup.
And you said Boston Red Sox?
Yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan.
They got Goldschmidt.
The Yankees did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I heard the name before.
Yeah. Nah, Boston's had a good offseason too. Let me tell you, they've made a couple good moves finally after the last couple of years being silent and bottom of the division. It's nice to finally see them do some work for once.
I think Boston sports as a whole going through a curse after the Brady era. Then the Red Sox was up here. Then they lost Mookie or something.
They traded Mookie. Man. They got rid of Bogarts, and then it was kind of, okay, are we going to keep Devers or not? And then they ultimately kept him, and that was the only thing that fans were really happy about for a while. Now you got Crochet in there, you got Bregman in there. I mean, they made some moves this offseason. I'll be interested to see if they actually live up to what they're supposed to be now.
I don't think that, I'm actually glad Boston not taking. I don't get tired of the Red Sox. Red Sox and the Yankees, man, I'm tired of them, man. Like, I want some off-brand teams like the Brewers or the Rockies. Like them off-brand teams. Like Houston was cool, but cheating scandal. So it's like, but at least it was bringing excitement to the game because didn't nobody expect the Astros to take off like that.
Nah, for real. Baseball's a tough one right now because the whole salary cap thing is such a mess. I mean, you have the Dodgers signing every single free agent that's existed for the last 3 years, and that's not even on them. That's on the league for just letting them do it. So you have teams like, the Reds, the Rays that are just not paying anyone, and that's why there's no competition. It's going to be the Dodgers this year, and who knows if they'll win the World Series, but they're going to be up there for a while.
That's like California money, especially
that Cali market's strong, man. They just keep taking money from the people and spending it on the teams, and it works. Let me tell you.
And then not California, baseball ain't got no salary cap either, so they can just
no salary cap and no salary floor, so they just be paying whoever the hell they want, and no one questions it.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
but I feel like we about to get to a point they about to have like a $500 million salary cap. Like you can't go half of it. Like I just see it coming, man. Like
it's tough when it's like, you have some teams that are paying like a seventh of what the Dodgers are gonna pay this year. It's like, okay, we might need to start doing something about it. And the Mets too. The Mets spent they did a cumulative stat. They spent something like $1 billion this offseason just between Soto and the other free agents they got. It's like, holy shit.
New York, man, is that thing? That's like the Jets of baseball. Like, are the Mets ever gonna be good or like?
They're finally turning it around a little bit with Steve Cohen at the ownership now. But man, for a while they were pretty quiet.
The Jets need to just move to New Jersey, even though they play in East Rutherford. But y'all just need to move to New Jersey. And the Mets and the Jets need to be called the New Jersey Jets Mets. Like, y'all just need to break away from New York.
Yeah, that's always been a weird one. It's just the market, I guess. It's so close to New York where they're just like, might as well. You already got an actual team in New York, though. You got Buffalo there, so What do I know?
It was like the New Jersey Nets, and then they moved
Yeah,
to
back
they
when they
became
were yep.
the Brooklyn Nets. Like it don't hit
Yeah.
the same. Like
Now, New Jersey's got quite the market there. I mean, you wouldn't think that those teams would have that big of a market, even though they're not even in New York. But let me tell you, they got fans going to those games when they're good. Not that we've seen them be good for a while.
I mean, they advertising Tony Soprano all day, so
That's fair. That's real.
I'm wrong for that. Oh,
Oh, you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
let's go ahead and get started. Since we talk about MLB,
Yep.
what's your thoughts on the upcoming MLB season and any major news that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of spring training stuff. It's been, we kind of see a lot of these prospects get a chance. I've been writing a lot about that recently. The Astros was an interesting one. That's kind of the one that we've been watching this offseason with Kyle Tucker moving on to the Cubs and Ryan Presley actually too moving on to the Cubs. They let Alex Bregman walk, and now they're going to play Altuve in the outfield, and the prospect they got back for Bellinger is also going to play in the outfield, even though he's an infielder. So let me tell you, Cam Smith, that kid's been tearing up spring training right now. He's hitting something like 540 batting average. They really got a kid back in that trade, let me tell you. That's going to be someone they're probably going to build around here in the next couple of years, which is scary because they've been good for so long. So the fact that they can just keep getting these prospects and keep, turning their vets into actual pieces is, I mean, that's how you build a team long term. And I mean, the MLB is a weird one this year where you expect the Dodgers to be at the top, and for good reason. They've made a lot of moves. They've brought in Sasaki. They brought in Hyason Kim. And obviously they have all the guys they already have. They have Freeman. They have Betts. They have Otani. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. They have Yamamoto. It's just there's so much talent that's gone in there in the Japanese market. They just love Dodgers, and that's what it's turned into, where they can just get those international free agents for whatever they want now. That's scary because there's not really been a pipeline to Japan yet, or a team that's had that kind of success internationally recruiting yet. So if they can lock that down, they've got some talent coming, because there's a couple of guys in this next international free agency that are going to be big names.
So the Dodgers like becoming the Spurs of the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, man, they've got real talent, and that's what's scary to the rest of the league is they just compete. They've been competing for, 10, 12, 15 years. Even when they were having down years, they were still around 500. It's just they don't miss out on prospects, even with their farm system being like low compared to normal. They've got the number one prospect in Sasaki just because he's an international guy. Is he a prospect? I don't know, but according to the MLB, he is. So I don't know. It's gonna probably be one of those ugly years where they dominate most of the regular season and nothing really gets interesting until the postseason.
That's how baseball became over the years. Like over the years, even though a lot of people wasn't watching every single game, well, not normal people. I don't know about y'all mega fans, but
it's a lot of games, man.
it was like up here with certain games you was just going to watch. Like I'm a Guardians or Indians fan. I still call them the Indians. So when Indians was playing, depending on if they were playing the Yankees or the Braves or like teams like that, I'll watch. Giants used to be San Francisco Giants used to be good. Huh?
Yeah. I love watching the Giants, man. They're one of my favorite teams to watch.
Yeah. So basically now it's feel like baseball then became like the NBA. They losing viewership, but they still gaining money. That's kind of crazy. Like they losing views, but they're still gaining sponsors.
It's just wild. I mean, and a lot of that's the international market too. Now that they have Japan interested, now that they done the World Baseball Classic again, there's a lot of international interest, and that just blows up. I mean, year after year, you're going to see prospects coming in like Sasaki, Yamamoto, Otani, et cetera, and they just bring in fans from other countries. That's just the nature of the beast. So the NFL is kind of finally tapping into that a little bit with their international pathway, but it's nowhere near as strong as baseball has been doing it for so long.
That's just like baseball games. I just can't watch. I get bored. Like know how back then you had personalities. Now I feel like everybody just they want to be all extra suits. Like, come on, like
It's a lot. It really, there's a lot of like pop in circumstance with players nowadays, and I don't. To some extent, I don't mind it. It makes it a little more interesting, but it feels fabricated in a lot of ways. A lot of these guys just do it so they get on TV or whatever. But I'm never gonna watch all 162 games of a team every single year. It's just never been what I've done. Usually, what I'll do is I'll just see, all right, who's coming on this week, and I'll try and catch like 3 games a day and just call it like that. Especially the Red Sox being so bad, it's so hard to watch more than like 80 games from them.
it felt like back then before the internet, baseball was the sport because
Yeah.
it came on during
for a long time. It was like that's what America went to, and that's they were one of the first ones on the radio, even back when that was the thing. So they had such a great market, and then they didn't really know how to modernize it, and now you have the pitch clock, you have the extra inning runner, you got the robo umpires that are coming at some point. It's just they're trying to keep up. It's just there's only so many things you can change about baseball before it just turns into something completely different.
a lot of fans don't like how they changing the stadiums. Like they added all sushi bars and they adding like all these like PlayStation, Xbox, arcade game. Like a lot of old heads down. Like it's like, man, we here to watch the game. Like we're going to a basketball game. They want to be playing video. They want to be playing MLB the show and watching the game. Like nobody wants to do that.
I fuck with the food. They've been changing the menus finally, and we're finally getting like interesting types of food in these stadiums, and that kind of makes it a little bit more entertaining to just go and see what these stadiums have. But that's like when you go to like Fenway or you go to Wrigley or Camden Yards, like those older kind of stadiums. Camden Yards isn't that old, but they have less of that. It's more just you go in, you watch the game, you enjoy it, and you walk out. And that's all it really needs to be. I mean, that's kind of the fun of it, is just going to see a stadium that's, older than our great grandparents. And that's what it's all about. That's what baseball's kind of always been about. It's a historical sport.
Yeah, man, just like all that. Like I'm not going to a game just to play the game. Like like I'd rather be at the house and just watch if I'm gonna do that. I'm going to watch the players. I'm going to watch the home run. I think that's another problem. A lot of people, is it just me or players don't be going for home runs no more? It's like they more just go for just getting on base.
It's a very select few. It's turned into like people want more contact hitting, or the managers want more contact hitting just because it's effective. It's like the 3-point shot in the NBA. It's the same exact thing. You're getting more value out of those kind of bigger value shots. Home runs are not easy. Obviously, it's not something you see a lot of. And there's only those couple of guys in the league that can really crank out home runs. I mean, Aaron Judge, Ohtani, those types of guys that can just crank 40, 50 home runs a season and have no problem with it.
Like, I know we all know when it comes to the heavy set dudes, them go home run hitters. Now I feel like the heavy set dudes, y'all know y'all not running the bases. For some reason, y'all think y'all Usain Bolt. But I feel like the heavy dude, it's like they hit just get on base. Dude, you coming in to get home run. Come on, man. Like
I grew up watching David Ortiz, man. I grew up watching that dude crank fucking 45 home runs a year, and if he hit a ball, it was never going to be more than a double. It's just he wasn't a runner, and that was his whole thing. He just cranked the ball out of the stadium and ran around the bases. That's all he needed to do, and he was great at it.
Now these coaches got, the coach, they got the big dudes running.
Yeah,
really, man. You don't put one of them skinny dudes in the game. Like, come on now. See, that's what I'm talking about baseball. It's like the little thing. Like, you always knew the short, skinny dude was the runner. Not the dude who's 6'5", 300. You got him running. Like, come on, man.
Let me tell you, it's fun to watch, though. If you watch those dudes that are that big running around the bases, it's fun to watch, let me tell you. I remember, who was his name? Oh, Dominic Smith last season with the Red Sox. He was this bigger onset dude. He hadn't played, full-time in a little while. He was the first baseman. And every time you would watch him run, it was so entertaining because he was pushing with all of his might to run around those bases. And he was pretty fucking quick, let me tell you. He was probably 240, somewhere around there. And he was running around those bases like nobody's business.
Man, it's just when you that big.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. What's the baseball? Let's just see how y'all do this season. So you got anything else you want to talk about with baseball? Like any player that's changing or teams or anything?
It's been an interesting offseason. It's really, I mean, Soto was the big one, obviously. That contract is just, you can't even fathom that amount of money. I mean, that's not even generational wealth. That's like the rest of his kids for decades and fucking centuries are going to be set up for life. And then there's most of the moves this offseason have been middle to low end moves. You had Freed, you had Goldschmidt, you had Crochet, which was an interesting one for Boston. You had Willie Adames to the Giants. I mean, there's a lot of interesting ones. I don't know that there was any really, really like high end moves outside Soto. And Soto was, I mean, that changes the complexion of a team. We've seen it everywhere he's went, from Washington out to San Diego, then to the Yankees. It's just, he is such a fucking amazing player. And even in the field, he just does enough to make it valuable to have him out there. But there's not a lot of dudes out there anymore that can hit the ball and take a walk like he does, because he gets on base. It doesn't matter how he does it. He's always on base. And that's scary. That is not something you want to be going up against in the playoffs or any other time.
I just hope my Guardians do good. I'm tired of us always being in the championship or we in the championship game. We always come up short. Like
they're pretty good though. I was surprised. They actually did pretty good last year. They actually showed up, which was cool. It took them a couple years to kind of get into it, but they've got some players over there, man. I mean, they're not a bad team by any means. You got Ramirez. He's probably the best third baseman in the league. So
they're not a bad team. It's just, I feel like they get stagnant sometimes. Like,
yeah,
you know you good, but it's like one time for you.
Just show it.
Yeah, like, but one time for you get into the playoffs, it's like, I don't know what the Guardians.
It's a tough. I mean, playoffs are tough now. You got a lot of high end teams out there now that are just dying to get into those playoff spots, and that's what's scary. It's not, just this competition anymore. It's these really high end teams that are just desperate to kill people in the playoffs. Yankees, Dodgers. It's scary. I mean, the MLB is one of those leagues right now where it's not dominated by like one or two teams. I mean, the Dodgers are high end, but you got some teams that'll make it in there every year that'll just make it interesting.
Because baseball, it's unpredictable. Like,
it really, really is, man.
Like, I don't say it all in baseball, but before we get started, what's the Saints player you wearing?
I'm wearing Zach Wood. My boy Zach Wood, the long snapper. I interviewed him actually a couple weeks ago, and he is the nicest guy, and it was a great opportunity. But I got the jersey right after that. Just support the man.
Yeah, he play for them right now.
Yeah, he's their long snapper right now.
How you get him? How you get him on the pod?
I talked to him. I interviewed him. When was that? I want to say it was back in December, and there's only a couple guys I've been able to talk to so far. I talked to him. I talked to rookie wide receiver Bub Means, and those two guys are both great people. I had a great time with both of them. It's just fun. I mean, players are fun to interview. They're really, really tough to interview sometimes. You got to go through the agents or you got to figure out how to contact them, but it's a fun opportunity.
Yeah, I get some of them on, but let's go ahead and get started. So, as y'all know, Jeremy is a Saints head. Yeah. Sometimes I like to roast them and call them the Aints.
You're not wrong right now, man. Let me tell you.
Let's go ahead. First topic, y'all. What you feel about let's get into the contract situation.
Sure.
What you feel about Chase Young?
I liked that one, and that one's some fans didn't, some fans did. It was one of those like kind of splitting the fan base up into different segments, but I thought Chase Young did really well last year. He wasn't a sack guy. He wasn't getting a ton of sacks. I think he had 5.5 last year, but 66 pressures against the quarterback. I mean, he was like 6th in the league when it came to pressure. That's the kind of thing you want from a guy who's only 25 years old. And for 3 years, you're getting him for the rest of his high-end prime. I think he just has what it takes. He's coming off a neck surgery last year. It's not like he was completely healthy. And he looked really good. And the Saints need edge help. Why would you not just keep the guy that's been in the system and now can learn from the new coaches that just came in, which is a whole other topic you got to get to. But I thought the contract was fair. 17 a year for a young edge rusher is about the market price now for what he's going to go for. I was happy with it. I thought they got him for a good deal, honestly.
I feel like with Chase Young, I feel like his hype done died down. I tried not to go against the Bros, but Chase Young one of them players where he came in from Ohio State, MVP, first players, that's rare.
Yep.
Well, Heisman, my bad. But, okay, you came to Washington. Then you went to the 49ers.
Yep.
And it felt like, I don't know if the hype died down or he just became more quiet. It felt like then you went to the Saints. I didn't even know he was on the Saints. It wasn't until I was going through Twitter. It was, Chase Young just got injured. I was like, who? Like, it's like so many players that came into the league since Chase Young. I forgot he even was in the league. So now for him to get this contract, I'm glad he got it. Because I don't count people's pockets, but I'm glad he got it. But it's like, do you think he deserved it? Because it's like Chase Young been injury prone and then the weight issues, and he really not the Chase Young who came with, even though he probably can't get back. We don't seen players come back to that type level, but do you feel like let's say not deserved, you feel like he's going to produce what he getting paid?
I mean, so if you look at the contract and you take it and you put it against what he's already done, no, he doesn't. The contract is assuming he's going to get better. And that's, I think, with the new coaching staff, with the guys that they're bringing in that are going to kind of deal with the defensive line, I think year over year, you're going to see him just get better. We saw it his rookie year. He did really well his rookie year. He kind of fell off after that. He had the injuries, like you said. The injuries made it really, really tough on him to play. He had the neck surgery in the offseason of 2024, and he played the whole year. He went on a one-year deal. He took, I think it was $13 million, and he just went, look, I'm going to fight. I'm going to try and make a good contract. And he had a lot of pressures, and he hit the quarterback a lot. He didn't hit the sack totals you would want for sure. But his whole thing was he was collapsing the line into the interior offensive line. And that gives you the opportunity to get a guy like Brian Brzee 7.5 sacks in a year from the interior. It's just his whole thing was kind of playing off of the other guys on the D-line, which, to be frank, last year our defensive line kind of sucked. Our run game really sucked. So if you can get some guys in there around him, I like the Devon Godshaw trade they made. If they can get more talent on that defensive line and just play into what he's doing, I think it might end up be worth that kind of contract. I mean, it's a lot of money. $17 million a year is a lot of money. It doesn't matter how you cut it. But with the contract being in a year where everyone's getting paid these crazy ass amounts, I think Dio Adenabo had the same contract or a very near contract. It was like 2 years, 16 a year. It's the price of being a really poor team. You just pay the guys that you have talent and you hope they pan out. And I think that's what they were kind of trying to do there.
Yeah, it just feel like Chase Young just want to get more big time players, but if he don't produce,
then it's gonna suck.
I already know how the Warriors fans get down. They y'all loyal, y'all gonna ride with them, but Chase Young don't come through.
Yeah.
He better find another team.
Yeah, I mean, even after that first year, people got upset just because the sack numbers weren't like 15.5. And it's like, you can't expect that from a guy that just had surgery on his neck in February. It's just, I don't know. And that's been the fan base for a long time. Ever since Breeze was here, it's just, they want this super high level of success every year with no failure. And for sure, I mean, we've been bad under Dennis Allen, and then now you've got a new head coach, but you got to give him a couple years to work on it. And The issue is they're not that great at drafting anymore, and that's what concerns me the most. Is they haven't really hit on a draft on all of their picks for a while now. I mean, last year Fuaga was a great pick. McKinley came in and did well, but then beyond that, you didn't really grab anyone that was spectacular besides Rattler, who we don't really know yet. So they need to draft well. That's going to be the biggest thing. I don't know if that's a GM problem, if he's making the decisions or what, but they got to hit some draft picks here in the near future, or it's going to get ugly.
Glad you say head coach. What did you feel about when Sean Payton left the Saints?
Yeah. It was a weird one. For years, it was like the way he was running the team with the wide receivers, he just would not add to the wide receiver core, and I don't know why. I really don't know what the thought process was there. He's a great coach, and there's no doubt about that in my mind. He gave you a Super Bowl. That's all I can ask for. I'm not by any means, hating towards him. It just, when you take a year off and you're just like, all right, I'm going to go think about what I'm going to do, I don't think you can go back to that guy. So I was okay with the trade. Getting a first and I think a second out of a coach of all things is a pretty damn good deal. And he's done well in Denver. He beat the piss out of us this year. It was like 55-7 or something ridiculous this year when they played us. But they did a good job. Denver's done a really good job. Bo Nix is turning into something pretty special over there. So I don't have any ill will towards him. I appreciate what he did for us, and I'm glad he's doing well in Denver. Denver's always been a team I've, been pretty good with, so I don't have an issue with him. Well, I can't say that for the rest of the fan base, but
what's that wide receiver y'all got? What's his name?
Chris Olave?
No, the what's his name? Thomas. What's his name?
Michael Thomas is gone now.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your thoughts on them last years? The last time. Okay, let's say last times he was playing. He wasn't playing every down.
Yeah, he didn't play last year.
What's your thought on the Michael Thomas situation?
It's a weird one. I mean, you saw he didn't get picked up by anyone last year. I don't know if that was, an injury recovery thing or he just didn't want to play, whatever it was. But, I got on my wall and I have an autographed jersey of his. I liked him. He was a great, great player for a while. And the injuries just killed his career. It's so unfortunate. And that's not something he did. It's not something he was doing wrong, per se. It just, those lower ankle injuries that he kept getting year after year, it gets so annoying because you would see him for like 4 weeks. He would play like at this 130 receiving yard type level, and then he would just miss the rest of the year. It's like, okay, well, fuck, we're paying $20 million for a receiver who's playing 4 games. So I understand why they cut him, to be frank, and why they were able to do what they were able to do. And I get why he's still pissed at the team and why he didn't like Carr. I mean, that's a whole... The Derek Carr situation is the one that's... I don't even know what to make of that shit right now. It sounds like he wasn't super happy with the restructure, apparently, according to, I think, Albert Breer was the one that put it out there. Fuck if I know with that guy. He can't... He's another one that can't stay healthy, first off. He dove into the Giants' defensive line in, like, week 15, and I can't even remember what he injured, but he was out for the rest of the year. And... when he's on the field, he's effective, but he doesn't make the plays you need to win. And that's my biggest problem with him. It's like, oh, he's top 10 in this metric. He's top 15 in this metric. Okay, great. Is it doing anything for the team? Not really. So, and that's partially because your receiver core is consisting of an entirety of 2 players who get injured the last 2 years. So, I don't know. The talent on the team isn't good enough to just go, yeah, it's all on Carr. But I also think he contributes to the talent problem, to say the least.
That Derek Carr, though, I feel like, because the stuff his brother went through with the Texans,
yeah,
he get like, what was his name? What was the brother's name?
Darren, I think, right?
Darren, yeah, done with the Texans. Number 8. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like you get like, it's like he has sympathy though. Like, you know them dudes, they older brother went through something, or they brother was in a bad situation. So now the younger brother Carr come in, he get drafted to the Raiders, and now it's like It's like he one of them type dudes. It's like a Nepo baby, but not real.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like the CEO make his son the next CEO. You be like, no, like he not true though. Like, yeah.
The contract is so weird. Like that's the part that's like it felt like all off season they were gonna just get rid of him. It really felt like they were just gonna get rid of him for a while there. And then they doubled down. They're like, you know what? We really want that $30 million instead of just making it dead cap. So they just restructured him, which is what they do. That's how they make money. That's why we had $20 million in cap. And it's just kind of how they function. That's always been how they work. They bring in the veteran guys and then they keep restructuring. Great. We get cap space each year to sign more people. But you also kind of fuck yourself for the next 3 years. And Carr was not someone I wanted, to be frank. When we first got him, I did like him when we first got him. I'm like, all right, it's an actual quarterback. It's not Ian Book / Andy Dalton that we were running out on the field the year prior. But man, 2 years into this thing, and it's like he hasn't shown me enough to be worth a $60 million cap hit next year. He's being paid more next year than most of the damn good quarterbacks in the league. So I don't know if their plan is just, hey, we're going to cut the guy next year, or if they run it back another year and just run the contract out. It's going to get ugly. I mean, Kellen Moore might fix some of his problems, but I don't think he's going to fix all the problems.
I'm telling you, man, it's like, dude, it's like you get sympathy because when your brothers with the Texans, they was horrible. So it's like
that was bad. His brother had a really hell of a time there with the Texans, man. Let me tell you.
I hope they not expecting Chase Young to be in this Cameron Jordan. That's why they gave him all that money. Like,
yeah, no, he's not. That's not what he's going to be, and that's the problem. Is if you look at what Cam Jordan was getting paid back, 10 years ago, it's probably around that amount. So you're going to go, oh, yeah, it's Cam Jordan. No, we're in an era where that value is like half of what Cam was getting paid. So I'm fine with the signing. It wasn't like there was really an edge out there that you were going to get better value out of. Josh Sweat was like the one big guy that was out there, and he got, I want to say $20 million a year for something ridiculous. So I was good with, Young is young, literally. He's 25 years old. He's a year older than some of these college kids that are coming out. So I hope he can turn it around. I think new coaching will do him wonders, to be frank. I think that last coaching staff we had and the defensive line coach we had were not good. And Cam Jordan ripped into that last guy we had because, let me tell you, he did not like that situation either. When you got a dude who's played for damn near as long as I've been alive telling you you're bad at coaching, it's probably time to stop coaching.
that Saints team, like, let's go. I forgot to look. Let's ask about your boy, Justin Reed.
Oh,
What you feel about Justin Reed from Kansas City?
It's those one signing. Every offseason, they have this one guy that they sign that it's like, holy shit, how did they afford that guy? Last year it was Chase Young. Year before it was Tyrann. You keep doing it. It keeps adding. But Reed's good. Reed's really good. Last year he was like a top 15 safety in pretty much every metric you can look at. And he's a Louisiana guy. He's from Louisiana. He followed the same pipeline as Matthew. He went to Houston, he went to the Chiefs, and then he went to the Saints. It's weird, but it's the same thing that they did. I don't know what this thing is where the Saints are just signing every Chiefs player that hits the free market. Yeah, literally, we were just doing a thing where we were reading up on how many. Actually, let me pull this up real quick because there's like 7 dudes on the team that are from the Chiefs the last time they played somewhere.
34. While you looking it up, 34 years ago, Saints was on to everybody from Louisiana. Landry, Matthew.
Oh yeah.
They went Odell. They was trying to get. It's like what was this, like an LSU remix?
Well, yeah. The weirdest thing was like Sean Payton would not sign anyone from Louisiana. For like 10 years, there wasn't a guy from Louisiana on the team. I think Will Clapp might have been the only guy that was literally on the team from LSU for like a half decade. And now it's like, now that he's gone, you see them, every single LSU player that hits the market, they're going after.
I get why the Saints doing it, though. It's a marketing strategy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I get it, but it's like, some of them dudes, y'all need to let go. Like I ain't got a problem with Tyrann Mathieu because I see he get his he about to come back to the team. It's just
for sure.
This ain't this ain't mid 2010s time. This ain't the Cardinals Tyrann. This ain't this old Tyrann Mathieu. So
he be getting interceptions though. He's not what he was for sure. He's not that elite top 3 safety in the league, but he gives you something of veteran leadership in the locker room because my God, that secondary, the average age is like 23. So you kind of need a guy that can just come in and be like, all right, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to do it. And that'll help when you have a new coaching staff. I mean, they wiped the coaching staff. There's like 3 guys that came back from last year from all of the coaching staff. So I think he will kind of help the younger guys get used to a new scheme because some of them just haven't been through a new scheme change yet. So I think that's kind of why they, did that. I appreciate him for restructuring that deal or reworking it or whatever the hell they did with his deal because they saved like $5 million and he got nothing out of that. There was nothing he got out. He didn't get more money in the future. They just took his old deal, got rid of it, and made it $4 million lower. That's all they did. So they just took money and he agreed to it because he had to agree to it for that to happen. So I really appreciate that because that's not something you ever see. I mean, Breeze did it at the end of his career. That's the only time I've ever seen it happen. So that's, that Louisiana type thing that we're talking about. They love each other. Everyone in Louisiana loves football, and the players know how important it is in that city. And I've seen it. I've been down there a couple times for games into the Dome, and my God, it is loud. Even in the games where they suck, it is loud. So it's important. It's a big part of their culture, and that's awesome. That's what it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah, New Orleans fans, they love you. So,
oh yeah.
Did you find many Chiefs players y'all saw?
I did. It was Tyrann Mathieu, Colin Saunders, Tano Passanio, Willie Gay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Kind of, he went to the Bills first, but it was a short period of time. And then now you got Justin Reed. So like 7 dudes.
I know this ain't one of the topics. I just seen the Bills sign Joey Bosa to like 1 year deal.
Yeah, I did see that last night. They just traded Kyrie Elam to the Cowboys too. Yeah, that was a good signing. He was someone I thought the Saints might go after because they brought Brandon Staley in to be the DC and he was their head coach, but it's a lot of money to give up for a guy that's like, nearing the end of his career, presumably. But he's good, man. I mean, $12.5 million, I think it was, is really not all that bad when it comes down to it. So, and they need a guy across from Russo, so I say why not? It's a good deal.
They just gave Josh Allen like what $330 million, $250 guaranteed.
6 years too. It wasn't even a long deal. It was like I think it was 6 years and $330 or something ridiculous. I mean, I get it. Great player. I would love to have that contract on my team, but yeah, I mean he's one of those guys that's up there. I mean, when you think about like that top 5 group, he's in it. So I get why they're paying him that. That's a big deal though.
It's kind of dangerous though, cause like
it is.
When the Chiefs pay Patrick Mahomes that was it basically $1 billion deal for like 10 years.
It was pretty much there.
Okay, he been producing.
Right.
Josh Allen has won no Super Bowl. He been to the championship game, but he never get over the hump.
Yeah.
So are you paying for somebody who's gonna keep you relevant for the next 5-6 years, or are you paying for somebody you like? Okay, we're gonna pay Josh now. Let's build through the draft because at this point the Bills is a draft team. They're not one of them free agency teams.
They don't have a ton of money at the moment.
Yeah, so let's build through the draft. Hopefully we strike. We see everything. Hopefully we get the right one.
Yeah.
I feel like, but it's kind of dangerous when you paying a player that much money for a period of time, especially if they don't produce or they haven't produced.
Yeah, it's a weird one because you see Mahomes just carry whatever the hell team he's on to the Super Bowl year after year. And it doesn't matter who's on the team. He could literally carry like a college team to the Super Bowl at this rate. Allen, you haven't seen it happen, and it's mostly because Mahomes is usually the one beating him. So I think a lot of it comes down to the fan base really likes the guy, and they really like what he has done for the team. Because before that, you had like Tyrod Taylor running the show for a while. So I get it to an extent. If they don't win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, it's going to look pretty bad. It's going to be like, okay, we paid this guy a ton of money just to keep bringing us back to the playoffs over and over and not get us over the hump.
At least the 90s Bills, even though they lost 4 straight, I still can't believe they went to the Super Bowl 4 straight. They lost 4 straight, but
it's impressive. I'll give you that.
The fact y'all they almost made the 5th year. I think they lost to the conference championship game about 3. Like how you got to the Super Bowl almost 5 years straight and lose?
It's brutal, man. That's not one of those ones where I would want to be around to watch that. That's tough. That's like when the Saints, those like 6 years where they just kept losing in these really, really horrible fashions in the playoffs.
The Saints Minnesota kept going to the championship game and losing, man.
We really screwed the pooch on Breeze those last couple of years. He should have had another Super Bowl, maybe 2, and we just repeatedly kept getting beaten to the ground in like the last series of the playoffs.
Well, Sean Payton, the reason when NFL coaches can now, they can't challenge a play for like the last 2 minutes of the game.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's Sean Payton. With that rule, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot for the team too now because they're going from Sean Payton to Allen to I think it was Rizzi, and those 3 guys are all older and they've been with the Saints for such a long time that it was like, okay, we're just switching. We're not really changing anything. We're just switching to another guy that's already been here. Now you've got a 36-year-old head coach coming in that just won a Super Bowl. That's a whole different guy. And it's offensive player. You had a defensive coach, you had a special teams coach in back-to-back years, and you had Peyton, who was offensive, but he was kind of an older school offense. This is new. We haven't had this type of like motion offense in ever. So I'm curious to see how the draft goes and who they start signing on offense because they've been making all these defensive moves. They got Young, they got Reed. They haven't really added to the offense, and that's interesting to me because it felt like offense was the biggest need. You got.
Let me ask you. Oh, not my bad. You still.
No, you're good.
Let me go ahead and ask you the next question.
Sure.
We all know the combine is it over. I think it's over. Okay,
yeah,
combine over. I hope the Browns do not draft Shador. I hope we get Cam Ward, but I know Cleveland, they're going to draft Shador because that's just how they do with quarterbacks. But we here talking about the Saints. So let's start with the offense side of the ball. Who you believe on the offense side the Saints need to draft? Like what positions?
Ashton Jeanty. There's no position, there's no other player. If you're going to draft offense at pick number 9 and Ashton Jeanty is there, you take Ashton Jeanty and you don't even question it. I love Kamara. Kamara's a phenomenal player. And I want him to stay. But he's started to have this role where he's playing out wide, where he plays a little receiver, where he plays a little scat back. If you can get that kind of really gritty rusher like Jeanty is, who can just run right up the middle and take that kind of beating, I would rather just get an offensive weapon who's really good. This team needs talent. It's as simple as that. They need players who have talent. I don't care if you've already got a guy there. You need someone that can just make the offense run. And we saw it with Saquon last year. They brought Saquon in, and the dude, he should have been MVP in my opinion. They just hate the running back position or any other position. But that type of offense where you can just run through one guy is really impressive. And we don't have an offensive line like that. We don't have Dwayne Johnson. We don't have those types of guys. But if you can just get someone to take that beating so 29, 30-year-old Kamara doesn't have to take that beating and he can just play out of the backfield, that's fun. And that's kind of – offense is tough. There's a lot of moving parts in the offense. We have a lot of the offensive line kind of figured out. You got Eric McCoy. You got Fuaga. You got Ruiz. You've got 3 out of 5 positions locked. And then you probably are going to start Trevor Penning at right tackle. you just need a guard at that point. So who knows what that's going to be, but you have your tight end in Juwan Johnson. I'm not particularly moved by the contract they gave him. It was like 3 years, 30 million or something. He doesn't really show me a whole lot at 27 years old, but he's improved. And I think Kellen Moore is a guy that uses tight ends a ton. I mean, we saw it with Dallas Goedert for the last year. We saw it previously with other teams, but offense is a weird one. I mean, Genti would really bring you up a level on offense. Tedarella McMillan, if he's there, I would not mind that pick. You need receiver. You need a guy who can be an outside receiver and kind of take the pressure off Olave. So that wouldn't be a bad one either. Quarterback, I don't. If you're going to take a quarterback, grab one of the later round guys and not Shedeur or Cam. I don't really think trading up for a quarterback is going to really make you all that much better. Offensive line, I'm pretty content with. I mean, unless Will Campbell is there at 9, maybe you consider that. You move him to guard, but I think it's going to be a defense-heavy draft for them. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of offensive players picked early on.
Okay, so who you think y'all need on defense?
You need corner. You really need corner. Paulson Adebo's gone. They just let him walk off to the Giants for, I think it was $19 million a year or something ridiculous, so I'm fine with that. You've got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who you took last year. You've got Alontae Taylor in the slot, probably, or the nickel. And then you got like Rico Payton as the next guy up, who's good, but we haven't seen him play an NFL game as a starter. So I think corner would probably be the first place you look. If they're going to run a 3-4, you might look at like Jalon Walker, like one of those kind of 3-4 outside linebackers who can just get after the passer. Yeah. Corner's probably where I would like to go, but you don't have a ton of guys that are like high-end corners.
So what about linebacker? I feel like the Saints, in my opinion, need some like that one beast linebacker.
I mean, you got DeMario. You got DeMario Davis there, but he's obviously aging for sure.
Yeah.
I believe he's 36 now or 35, but he's very good for how, he's on the older end of his career. He missed those first couple of years where he was like, he came into the league, he didn't really get a whole lot of opportunity with the Jets. Saints get him, and then he's just perennial all-pro linebacker. So I'm okay with him. I think for a couple more years, as long as he wants to run out that contract, I'm good. I have no issues with him. The other linebacker position's odd. You've got Pete Werner there. He's good at times. He's not a guy that I particularly want to be playing every down at linebacker. They did just pay him, though, so maybe he is a guy you play every down. They definitely need outside linebacker, because if it sounds like they're going to run a 3-4 and not a 4-3, at least from Brandon Staley being the DC. So you kind of need an edge. Because Carl Granderson's like 280. I don't think you're going to run him off the edge. And then, I mean, Brzez's an inside guy. Godshaw's an inside guy. I mean, maybe Chase Young can run off a 3-4 outside linebacker. He's big, though, man. He's like 6'5" and 260, something like that. So it feels like they need one of those, like, I mean, you saw it with the Eagles with Nolan Smith. They need one of those smaller guys that's just raw athletic. And that's Jalon Walker. Jalon Walker is exactly the same type of player who he can rush the passer. That's all you need. You just need a guy that can get around that edge and just take out the quarterback, because they don't really have one.
So you feel like the safety position, y'all good at safety?
For this year, yeah. I think if they were to grab another one, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to have another guy in the room if Tyrann goes down or Reed goes down. But safety feels the lesser of the needs right now. Like, this team has needs everywhere. And if Malachi Starks is there in the first round, I wouldn't hate it. I really wouldn't, but I feel comfortable with the safety position at the moment, where it's like, I would rather just use it elsewhere and just figure out the other positions that you have.
All right. So offense, y'all just need a running back. You don't feel like y'all need a quarterback, a wide receiver.
We need receiver. Definitely need receiver. I mean, Tedderell and McMillan would be great. Don't get me wrong on that one. McMillan would be a huge, huge addition for the team. I feel like they're going to sign a receiver. It feels like corner and receiver are the two positions where they might sign someone. And that's probably where they're going to get it. You've got a lot of guys out there that Moore has worked with before, Keenan Allen being the top one. But you definitely need another receiver, for sure. Shaheed's a slot, Olave's a flanker, you need an X. And you lost one in Thomas, so now you kind of need a guy that's like Thomas. Tight end, I don't see them doing anything. I would like to get another one. I'm not high on Juwan Johnson, but this team refuses to draft for need, so it'll probably end up being some guy in the trenches that won't see the field for 4 years. So
the Saints used to be a team where when they picked up free agents, they gonna get like the most off-brand. Like they don't get a known dude, but he want to be an established dude. Like,
yep.
And then when he get to the Saints, a lot of people say Sean Payton overrated for this because it mainly was the team, not him. I'm not getting to all that. I'm just the player that they'll pick up free. It's like they'll go like rushing for 300 yards. All of a sudden they got 1,500 yards passing, 400 yards rushing, but that 1,500 yard passing, they be looking like a wide receiver now. Like that's how the Saints used to pick up players.
I mean, that's how you've got Taysom Hill. I don't even know what to make of that dude. There is not another football player I have ever seen that has been like that guy. There's no one that can be a receiver, a tight end, a running back, a fullback, a quarterback, a kick returner. I mean, he does literally everything on the offensive side of the ball. And it sucks because his career is probably coming to a close in the next couple of years. He's coming off a major knee injury where he just blew that knee into pieces. And he has a history of knee issues too, so that's a tough one. I mean, that contract looked really bad initially. It was like, I think it was 4 years, 100-something million. It looks really, really good by the end of it. He's been the only reason we've had an offense at this point. There ain't any other weapons that have been like that guy for us.
They pay him $25 million a year.
Let me look at how much that was, because they were paying him a lot of money initially.
We talking Taysom Hill.
Yeah, no, that was one of the biggest. Like, everyone freaked out, and they just kept pushing his contract further and further down the line. Let's see what it was.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's smaller than I thought it was. It was 4 years and 40. Still, $10 million a year for a guy that's whatever the hell he is. I don't know what he is, but
I thought he was like a practice squad player. They just brought up. I didn't know he was getting.
He came from the Packers. He was like a practice squad guy there with the Packers, and they brought him in as like a quarterback just to be a backup for Breeze for a while. He started like blocking punts at one point, and then they just went, fuck it, and just started using him as a running back. And now he's got like, I don't remember the stat. He was like the first player since the merger to have 10 rushing, passing, and receiving touchdowns. I think the last one was like the 1940s. So he's impressive. He's one of those guys that you can rely on, but we're getting to the point where he's probably going to be, winding down a little bit.
I'm going to ask you a question. Who your top 5 to 10 favorite Saints players of all time?
I mean, you ask anyone since 2000 who their favorite Saints player is, it's Breeze. Breeze is one. There's no decision to be made. He's just phenomenal. He carried this team of people that you have never heard of in your life. We had people like Austin Carr receiving touchdowns up the ass. And all these like random practice squad players who would just come up and catch a touchdown because he was that good of a quarterback. He made anyone on the field just look like the greatest player of all time. And, he's one. He's just, most people that'll say that, even the old heads that, have watched them for 70 years, they know how good that is. And we probably won't find another Drew Brees ever. But, that dude's massive. I mean, he was huge for us for almost 2 decades. I liked Ted Ginn a lot, and that's probably my second favorite. He wasn't this big, everyone knew him type of guy. He was a slot receiver. He came from the Panthers at some point. He was like a kick returner to start off, and then he started to kind of ramp up as a receiver. He was really, really fun to watch for a long time. He would run post routes. That's what he would do. He'd run a post and then he would cut, and you'd get like a 40-yard touchdown every single time the dude was on the field. And he was the one in the NFC Championship game that caught that, like, I think it was a 30, 40-yard pass and, almost sealed the game, or obviously didn't. But, yeah, he was really fun to watch. He was probably my second favorite. That dude is special.
I'm shocked by that one. Who else you got?
Kamara, you got to put it up there. I mean, he is one of those guys where you never expected to see that level of production from like a 3rd round pick. And he is so scary to watch. If you watch him, he will get hit and just absolutely like flattened, and he'll just keep moving. It's just, he has this balance that I've never seen, and I don't think a lot of people have seen ever. You watch these like weight training drills where he's standing on like a yoga ball and he's catching different colored things, and it's like, holy shit. He's really, really athletic. He's a really good guy from what we can tell. He's one of those guys that's run this offense. He's staying for the rest of his career. They just extended him. So, career guys are those ones that you like to see. Defensively, you got to grab a guy, Cam Jordan. That one's simple. You watched him for my whole life. He's been on this team pretty much. And he doesn't have a season where he's just like, that guy sucks. He just, for years and years and years and years, he was like a double-digit sack guy, and that's not common. And he's been with us his whole career. Even when you look at like Breeze, he wasn't with us for his whole career. But Cam Jordan, he's a lifer, and that's, I know he doesn't really like the old staff that we had, but he's been saying he likes the new guys. So I hope he plays out these last couple of years with us, because, man, he's fun to watch. And let me think. Who I got as 5? I want to do someone on special teams. And the issue is a lot of our special teams guys.
Reggie Bush.
Like, we had Will Lutz. He's gone. You had Thomas Morstead. He's gone. I mean, you have Wood still. Our kickers and punters now are just new guys. I haven't, seen them for a long period of time. So, cornerbacks, Lattimore was great. I thought Lattimore was a great player. He was never one of my favorites on the team, but he was phenomenal. I mean, truly, truly outstanding quarterback for a long time there.
A lot of people said they ain't like him.
Hmm?
A lot of Saints fans said they ain't like Lattimore.
You liked him or you didn't. I don't know. Great player. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, I respect talent. If you're going to be a great player and you're on my team, I love that. That's all that matters. But he just, I don't know. There were times where it was like he would have issues with the team, or, ultimately it ended up being the injuries, and then he just got traded. But I don't know. Great player. Oh, you know who? Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins, for the longest time, when he was before and after he went to the Eagles, that dude was special. He hit people like nobody's business. That dude just flatlined people on the edge and the boundary, and that's fun to watch. I mean, when you're a fan and you watch a guy just lay someone else out on the sideline, that's really fun to watch. And at the end of the day, he came back and he played those couple of years with us, and then he retired. But really, really special. I mean, that guy was. There wasn't many safeties like him for a while.
All right, man. Okay, we got to go call this. Go ahead and tell them they can find you at, Jeremy.
You can find me at ClutchWDN on Twitter, and that's pretty much where I am. Or you can find me anywhere online if you just look up my name for Sports Illustrated or USA Today.
Yeah, it's been. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. They got me look like I'm in the dark in the dungeon somewhere. Yeah, this is the TWK podcast, episode 33. We say we want how you want, what we want. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all go ahead and like, definitely subscribe. Make sure y'all share it. Go follow my man Jeremy on Twitter and his social media accounts. I would have Jeremy back on the future, probably post draft. Cause we'll ain't see what these Saints who Saints go
Yeah,
draft.
I'm available, man. If we want to come back out after the draft or whatever, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a lot of people back on after the draft. But it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
TW King podcast episode 33. We say what you want, how you want, whatever you want. And thank y'all for watching.